Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Today I wanted to share with you my thoughts on what are the best canned foods for survival. Canned foods can last such a long time in your prepper pantry, your food storage stockpile, and they're a great way to have ready-to-eat meals on hand. Foods that you can open and eat, and you can throw together a few cans if you need to and get a meal on the table. And if you're, say, without power, without running water, it's still the type of food that you could open it and just eat it even right out of the can if you don't have a paper plate or a bowl, because canned foods are ready to eat. They're fully prepared, and if you choose foods wisely, they can serve you well. My first area of canned foods that I like to stockpile are canned meats. They come in so many different varieties. You can find them in small cans, large cans, and all kinds of different flavors and varieties. Depending on the size of your family is how you decide what size of can of meat you might want to have. If you have a small family, you want a small can. If you have a larger family, you'll probably want to start with a larger can of meat so that you can stretch it farther, feed more people. It all depends on the size of your family. The types of meats you should choose are the ones that your family is willing to eat. Chicken, salmon, crab, clams, there's all kinds of varieties. I have others put away, but this is just an example of some canned meats that I like to eat that are versatile, they're easy to use. Say you want to get a can of clams. Think about how you're going to use it and then just buy one. Take it home and see if it's a can of food that you enjoy. It turned out the way you wanted, and it actually is flavorful. And then if it is, and you would like to eat it again, that's when you stock up on more of it. The next area of canned foods are the ready-to-eat meals. Things like soup, stew, chili, tamales, raviolis. They come in so many different varieties, and so you're bound to find something that you like. If you see a variety of a ready-to-eat meal that you've never tried before, such as this Glory red beans and rice, and you think it might be nice, take it home and try it. If you like it, you can always go back and get more. There's nothing worse than you have a stockpile of foods and then you try one and no one likes it, because then you have wasted your money and you've wasted the storage area, and then it's going to languish in there because people are going to choose the things all around it that they'd rather eat. So don't stock up on things that you don't care to eat, don't know what to do with, especially just because it's cheap or it's on someone else's list. You want to go through the store and choose the foods that you care to eat, because your pantry should be a working pantry. You should be working your way through it. You want to use your food, rotate and replace it. And if you find that, say, you used to like the can of red beans and rice and you don't care to eat it anymore, go ahead and use up what you have and then replace it with something you do want to eat now. Remember back before the pandemic when there were so many types and different varieties of soups, and then once everything shut down, the varieties became extremely limited. I remember seeing everything was chicken noodle. And if that's not something you want, perhaps you haven't purchased cans of soups in a long time. See if they brought back a variety of canned soup that you enjoy eating. You also want to look it over in case they've changed the recipe on it. They may have changed the ingredients so that it doesn't taste exactly the same as it used to of what you remember it. And that's something that I found with some of my favorite soups. I think during the pandemic, when they couldn't get all of the ingredients because of all of the craziness that was going on, some manufacturers changed the recipes, and so they may have continued to do that because perhaps those foods were less expensive. And so you want to look over carefully, and if you haven't seen it in a long time, do the same thing as if you've never had it before. Take one home and try it, and if you like it, you can go back and get more. Next, think about beans. Everything from baked beans, refried beans, to all of the different just plain beans that you might want to add into soup, stews, and casseroles. You can find everything from kidney beans, black beans, white beans, garbanzo beans. Find the ones that you enjoy, and those are the ones that you want to have an extra supply of because they're full of protein, they're simple to use, you can add them into all kinds of recipes and really make some enjoyable meals. A great way to stock up on almost ready-to-eat meals in a can is look for some of the Augustin Farms. They're called super cans, and this one is, for example, creamy stroganoff, and it has 3 pouches of ready to add water and heat up meals in it. So while you're getting the can of food, it's not exactly the same as the other dehydrated or freeze-dried foods that you get, because this has meals in a can, but there are 3 packets. So if you had a small family, you could use 1 packet. If you had, say, 2 families are there clamoring for a meal, you could prepare 2 of the pouches. So it gives you some flexibility. And then when you open the can, the meals inside are still sealed up individually, so they don't start necessarily degrading or becoming stale. Say if you open just a can of vegetables or something that were dehydrated, then when you normally would open one of the cans of August Farms, you need to use it up within about a year. If you look at the can, it tells you there are 12 total servings. The shelf life is up to 25 years, and you just need to add water. Next, let's look at canned fruit. There are all kinds of varieties of fruits. Choose the variety of fruits that you enjoy. Everything from peaches, pears, mandarins, apricots, fruit cocktail. Maybe you can even find plums. I remember when I was a child, a canned plum was just a true delight. But I don't think that I've seen them in a while. So find fruits that you enjoy, but I want to warn you that something I've learned the hard way is that canned fruits don't last very long. They seem to eat through the can, disintegrate the can, leak all over and make a huge mess. So pay attention to the dates on your canned fruits and make sure that you're using, rotating, and replacing them. A solution that I found for storing cans of fruit is to find the August Farms freeze-dried and dehydrated fruits. They come in all different kinds of varieties. They don't weigh very much because the moisture's all been taken out. And these fruits are packaged to last for up to 30 years. You just add water to rehydrate them, or you can just eat them as is. Grab a handful if that's something that you enjoy, or add them into things to make, like into your trail mix. Stir them into your oatmeal. These are a nice way to have fruit for a very long time. They're top quality, very good. You can also find some fruits at the Mormon Church website, the LDS Church. They also sell number 10 cans of food. They don't have as much variety as August Farms. I've always found that the food from the Mormon Church is well packaged, is delicious, lasts a long time, and I haven't been disappointed. But someone did leave me a comment recently that they ordered August Farm foods and from the LDS or the Mormon Church, and the cans arrived dented, and they were very dissatisfied with that. That's never been my experience, so I was so sorry to hear that that happened to one of our viewers. So if you've had that experience, let us know, and did they make it right? The next best canned food for survival would be vegetables. You can find all kinds of single vegetables, corn, peas, beans, beets, spinach. You can find mixed vegetables as well. Look for the types of vegetables that you enjoy eating, and then once again, make sure that you use, rotate, and replace them. Vegetables are also something you can buy from places like August Farms or from the Mormon Church. You can find them in the number 10 cans that are dried and dehydrated that are stored to last for 30 years. So if you're not a big fan of using canned vegetables, or you don't want to store too many because maybe you don't have enough room, go ahead and look for some of the longest lasting vegetables that you can buy in the number 10 cans. The next best canned foods for survival would be tomato products. Everything from spaghetti sauce, cans of tomatoes. They come in all kinds of varieties with other vegetables, spiced up or not. You can find sauces like tomato sauce, tomato paste, and the Rotel type spicy tomatoes. There are all different kinds of tomato products that you can find and add into your Prepper Pantry food stockpile. Make sure that it's foods you know what you're going to do with. They're not going to last forever. You need to have an idea before you buy food. What are you going to do with it? Don't just add random food because, I don't know, I should have tomatoes, I guess. Figure out how you plan to use those products, and that's how they earn a home in your Prepper Pantry. If you want tomatoes for the long haul, you can buy a can of tomato powder from August Farms. That's very good too. You can set it aside and have it for the longest lasting. That's a comfort to me. I don't know how much longer I'm going to live, but I want to make sure that I have food until the very end. The next top canned foods for survival are dairy products. You can find evaporated milk. You can find cans of media crema, which is table cream. You can even find butter that's in a can. This got very expensive and in complete short supply, but I noticed they had it again at Walmart. It isn't cheap, but it's a great way to have butter in your pantry that you know is packaged safely and can last and be on the shelf when you're really craving some. I have bought some cheese powder and powdered butter to add to my top canned foods that I want to have for survival. I bought a whole bunch of elbow macaroni, and then I got a couple of cans of this cheese powder. I can make mac and cheese clear into the apocalypse as long as I have some water. Don't overlook cookies in a can. Have you ever had the Purolinas? They're little like twisted wafer cookies. They're very good. And they're in a can. And then canned bread, the B&M canned brown bread. This has been a staple in my life since as far back as I can remember. You can buy it just as brown bread. You can also find a variety with raisins. I made a video about what is canned bread, how do you use it, and I'll put a link to that video in case it's something you've never tried before and you'd like to learn more about the canned bread. Keep your eye out when you go to the store on different types of foods that you might want to add to your prepper pantry and your food storage stockpile. It's up to you what goes into your pantry. It doesn't matter what someone else has or what they tell you is the best. What matters is the food that you want, that you're willing and able to eat. Leave it in the comments below. What's the best canned food that you have in your stockpile that you rely on? If I go to buy a can of food, say ravioli, I think to myself, could I eat this every day for a week? And if I could, then I'll buy a few cans of it. Then I don't have to worry that there's something I just don't really want to have. If it's something that you're not willing to eat for an entire week, maybe look for something that you would. That's the strategy that I'm offering today. Let me know what you think about it. I hope you'll like my video, share it with someone else you think might enjoy it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.